Hello everybody and welcome to the best of Season 3. In this episode, I'm joined by the legendary content creator RoboticBattleToaster to discuss the highs and lows in the world of content creation. This was a really great interview episode, and without any further ado, hope you enjoy. Welcome to Satsunami. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Satsunami. My name's Satsunami and joining me for a very special streamer spotlight episode is none other than the one and only beatbot master himself, RoboticBattleToaster. Toaster, welcome to Satsunami.
Thank you very much for having me, good sir. Greetings and hello. Beatbot master. I'm gonna have to use that at some point.
Yeah, I mean it's up to you.
I like my beep booping and my happy dial-up noises, so yeah, makes sense.
So how are you doing today, Toaster?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm doing good. It's been a good Sunday. I've been getting bits and pieces ready for my branding. Got ideas, so many ideas. But yeah, I'm just trying not to distract myself with, oh, I could do this, I need to do this. Try not to get myself tied up in my mains power lead, if that makes sense.
I know the feeling when you're trying to get things organised for your particular channel or content. You're like, I forgot that one important thing. I should go out and do that. And you're like, oh God. You know when you were in school and they taught you how to write a CV and time management and things was always on the top of that list? It's like you always have to say you've got time management, you've got organisational skills, you've got problem solving. Who knew they would be applicable today in streaming?
Yeah, you're not wrong there. Up top there, it was next to the, are you a visual learner, an auditory learner, or a hands-on learner? And it's like, all three? Oh, you can only pick two. Oh no.
That's when you turn around though and you're like, a little of column A, a little of column B. I like to mix and match. I'm very proactive. You know, all the jargony words that should get you through the door, but, you know, that's a conversation for another day.
Exactly. I haven't had to go back to school in over a decade. I still have nightmares about exam halls for some reason.
I actually remember in university having to do one of these exams, and they took us into one of the gymnasiums they had, and it was set up exactly the same way as it was in school. And you know where you just get the flashbacks exactly. It's like the row of tables. I was about to say commissar. You know, guy who walks up and down being like, are you cheating? No. Are you sure?
Echoing footsteps of the invigilator walking up and down between the rows of desks. The clock that for some reason is louder than any other clock in existence at the end of the room.
The tick, tick, tick. And you're like, really? I was about to make like a joke there and be like, we're so old that was our TikTok back in the day. But nowadays, these kids and their talk ticks and
Forgive me, Red Panda, for I have sinned. I don't have TikTok.
You're good for that, seriously. Get away from. Don't fall down the same rabbit hole that, many creators before you fall down. The only caveat I would say, actually, is unless you have a real-life toaster and you just post videos of that dancing, how you would make a toaster dance, I don't quite know.
I'm afraid I can't tell you potential upcoming plans I have, because that is going to be spoilers. But it's interesting that you pointed that out. I thought I was keeping things like that under wraps. How the hell did you just stumble across it?
My mind works in very weird and mysterious ways.
We need to send you to Bletchley Park. Oh yes, Robotic Battletoaster. Make a toaster dance. I'm sorry, how did you find this out?
It's like that episode of The Simpsons when Mr. Burns gets told he's the devil, and it's like a term of endearment, like, oh, Monty, you're the devil. And he goes, who told you? I mean, oh yes, I am. It's like... As you were saying there, you're of course a Twitch streamer, and is it safe to say you've been streaming for nearly a year now?
Nearly a year? No. It's been about 5 months.
5 months? Really?
Yep. I started on the 6th of January, so it's going to be 5 months on the 6th of June.
In the best way possible. It does feel longer than that, because I feel as if whenever you say that phrase, it comes with a kind of backhanded compliment, like, really? 5 months? Oh, oh, Jesus, right. It's like, no, I mean it in the best way possible. But of course, you and I met through a mutual acquaintance, is like probably the bare basic way to describe it.
Mutual acquaintance of the moth kind.
Of the moth kind, of course, because during my streaming odysseys, I met a awesome American streamer called Wisteria Moth. We started chatting. She has, of course, been on the show in a couple of episodes. She was on the Streamer Spotlight episode where we talked about a lot of very interesting topics, and then she came back, surprisingly, to talk about what it means to be a Sonic fan in 2023. And, of course, through that, you and I both met one another, and yeah, ever since then, it's just been a friendship made in... Is it right to say made in the kitchen since, you know, your whole persona's Robotic Battletoaster?
I think a combination of made in the kitchen and made in the killing floor as well, because I still remember the first time we fed you to that game. You're running around as a naive pocket medic with your hemoclobber, beating the health into us.
Good times.
Oh, yes, very good times. We need to feed you back to that game.
That's true. We really need to get back into that. I keep saying that and then thinking when we actually do get back into it, I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just beating things, hoping they heal. Why won't you heal?
I do stream Killing Floor on the Wednesdays, and there's layers of chaos that I have started introducing to the sessions, and they have taken and grown. So the first layer of chaos I did was, instead of picking a class, at the start of every round, or not so much round, sorry, match, you roll a d10, and whatever the number is, that is your class that you play. And it started off as that. And it was chaotic and fun, and yeah, you could still pick whatever weapons you want, and yeah, it worked well. Then, a wonderful fellow streamer by the name of Non-Bitey Zombie said, oh, Toaster, there's a wheel, there's a weapons wheel that's got all the weapons in Killing Floor 2, and so you can roll it. It determines what weapons you have. And it's like, that sounds chaotic as hell. Perfect. So now, the dice decides your class, and the wheel decides what weapons you buy. So you can have weapons that fit your class, or you can end up like me, where I was playing as a medic with an anti-material rifle, trying to work out where I went wrong in life.
I mean, we've all been there with the class systems in games where it's like, should I be a support? Should I be a tank? The struggles of gamers as it is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's so much simpler when the click-clack rocks decide for you. Then you just have to survive.
I mean, rocks fall is the term, isn't
it? Rocks fall. Everyone gets a bad class.
But going back onto Twitch streaming, of course, I have to ask two very important questions here. As I said, when you and I met through Moth, you weren't really into as much content creation in terms of Twitch and so forth. And it is amazing. First of all, it is amazing how much you have grown over these past 5 months, because it is amazing when I'm looking at people that I've met a couple of years ago through streaming, through podcasting, and then I see your name pop up and I'm like, huh, that is awesome that you're there, you know, talking to these cool people. But the two questions, of course, are what was the inspiration for you in particular getting into streaming? And second of all, what's the deal with the name? What is the origin of your particular username? Because I know you did touch on it when we did an episode before on
Life in the 40k universe.
That's the one, exactly, on Life in the 40k universe. And that is an amazing episode for all those listeners out there who haven't listened to it. Please go listen to it. It's a great one. But yeah, going back to Twitch. Yeah, what was the inspiration?
So the inspiration to get into Twitch started from, I was having some rather troubling times at work. I wasn't enjoying what I did so much. I was having sort of, I guess, I'd been in the same job for like, I think it was 9-10 years. And it was a case of, I see these content creators like you, Moth, Stubbs, and it's like, man, that sounds and looks really fun. But I wonder if I can do something like that. And then I was like, started looking around, like, what sort of stuff do I need to do? What sort of, do I need to meet a specific criteria? Is there ways I can do it? Do I have to have like a trope of some kind? And then it was just a case of, no, if you're passionate about the game and you're engaging and you can entertain your audience, try it. And so I did. I had my Kraken 3 headset, which I bought recently beforehand because my other one gave up the ghost. I had my Streamlabs and I had my Twitch app on my phone, and I'm still using the Twitch app on my phone to look at chat. And I started, and my first game that I completed on Twitch, it started in 2-hour episodes and then went up to 3, and it was MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, which again, I need to drag you back into with your panda mech.
You definitely do, because I have become somewhat of a verb in that game.
Yes. You are the action of destroying a building or leveling an entire infrastructure in an area. It's called doing a Satsu, and it's catching on.
Really?
Super Shadow has started doing it as well, and I've started talking about it when I'm playing on when Tacken Twins, who's another wonderful content creator, we did our first session of MechWarrior. We had to destroy a building, and I said, yes, we've got to do a Satsu, and then I explained what it was, and so yeah, they're going to start. I think they've started using it whenever we play together.
For legal reasons, that is a joke. Well, no, not the joke of me actually going through the building. That did happen, but my Red Panda lawyer and the lovely associates at MechWarrior Planet Co., we sorted it out. We settled.
It would be a real shame if my gun cam footage got leaked to the press. Oh, I mean, especially with that missile platform and that block of apartments.
So, on that note, Shell, on that note, Toaster, I know we have to leave it here. I know it's so sad we have to end the interview so soon. But
Wait, why is there a red panda climbing in through my window?
like Twin Peaks style, just crawling in. It's like, oh my god, he's not with me. That's a raccoon. That's not me.
But I just started with that. My audience started slowly picking up. They stuck around. They enjoyed the content. And then I just thought, you know what? I really like this. So I started investing in hardware, because at the end of the day, I wanted to make my broadcasts, or I'm going to start calling them transmissions. I don't like the term streaming. It just sounds too mainstream. And I know that's going to sound silly, but I want to try and stick with the whole tech theme. So I'm probably going to call them transmissions. But yeah, I want to make my transmissions as entertaining and as high quality as possible. So I bought myself a new microphone, got myself a webcam, and got myself some backlighting for my monitor and backlighting for my gaming room, which is now my studio. And I got myself a stream deck, started getting it all working together. And my first stream where I used my webcam, I was terrified. I don't know why, but the idea of just people being able to see me and not just, a disembodied voice of an overly British person shooting things in a mech. But then the fear just went away. I started my first episode and I haven't gone back from using a webcam since. And yeah, I love it. I also was able to figure out what was going on with my quality settings. So instead of being in 480p, I've managed to get it up to the higher ends. Goddamn you, Streamlabs. Grumble, grumble. And now I've got a really nice audience that keeps coming back. They like playing around with the lights in my gaming room that they can control. I've got so many plans for the future. Watch this space.
No, it is. It's going to be really interesting to see where you go from here, because I have to admit, you have grown a lot, and I feel like a granny or something saying this, be like, oh, you're a grown streamer, oh, look at you growing, but you have grown exponentially throughout your first couple of months with streaming. I definitely think you're doing the right things. You're talking to really nice streamers, you're interacting with them, you're playing games that you really enjoy and things, and it is amazing to hear that you are seeing this as more of a refuge from everyday life, because I do think that is something that I feel as if a lot of streamers undermine when they get into it. Do you feel as if a lot of streamers feel streaming can be somewhat of a second job?
It can be tiring, because especially with a full-time job as well. So at the moment, the majority of my work days are 11-hour days. So I work at my main job for 8 hours. I come back home, I get to relax for a little bit, and then I'm streaming for 3 hours in the evening. But I have been making a point of slowly building that up gradually. So I haven't just gone like, yeah, I can do it. I'll dive in the deep end. I'll stream like 5 hours every day. Yeah, nah. Last thing I want to do is A, make myself ill, because self-care is important. And B, if I started doing things like that, I'd start losing enthusiasm and I'd start burning myself out. So then the quality of the content would drop. My long-term plan is to slowly build up my audience on both Twitch, Twitter, and eventually YouTube. Get it to the point where I can resign from my current job and become a full-time content creator, because I've also been spreading roots out in other places nearby where I live, because there's a really wonderful tavern / cafe / gaming den called the Dice Tower in Basingstoke, and I'm friends with the owner, and we've actually floated the idea of me buying like a portable streaming setup, going down there. They've got an area called the Map Room that they'd hang curtains up and they'd let me stream or live stream D&D sessions and board games and like new release board games and things from there. We'd advertise them from there. They'd allow us to do stream there, and it'd just be a win-win situation. And with regards to the wonderful content creators that I've been interacting with, both on Twitch and on the Discord platform, I want to try and build an interlinked community with other like-minded content creators. I want to make a safe, engaging space where people can be themselves, express themselves, and just chill and have a fun time without being bullied or picked on or judged for the games they play or whatever skill levels they have. Just a safe, chill environment. It's really paying fruit. Over the weekend when I was away, I hopped onto Discord on my phone, and there were people playing games using the voice channels in my Discord, and it was just such a rewarding feeling of like, it's starting to bloom. It's showing fruit, and they feel comfortable enough to just chill out and game in the lobbies, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Would you say that is one of your main priorities then, to foster that sense of community within your umbrella, I suppose is the right term, of your streaming?
Absolutely. I want to make a safe space for people. I want to make a community that cares, looks after itself, and looks after others. My mother always taught me that her guiding thing for my moral compass that she and my father imported on me is that if you can't make the world a better place, at least don't make it worse. And so if I can make this little area, this little section of Twitch that will eventually, hopefully grow and interlink with other areas of Twitch, if I can make an aegis of, I guess, good vibes and hugs and where people can just chat, get things off their chest and just look out for each other, then yeah, I'd be a very happy toaster. Very happy toaster indeed.
I mean, that is admirable, to be fair, because a lot of the streamers that I have talked to kind of flourished in the lockdown times of the early 2020s, which I'm specifying that now because I know in a few years when people listen back to these episodes and they're like, what do you mean the lockdown? What do you mean 2020s? Because I do laugh at that whenever I talk about the lockdowns and I'm like, oh yeah, it was this terrible time and everything where nobody could leave their homes, and because of that, a lot of people decided to flourish in the sphere of content creation, and they all try to foster their own communities, for better or for worse sometimes. But for the majority of people that I've spoke to, a lot of them have put this emphasis on prioritising the well-being of their community. And I know exactly what you mean, because whenever I see people for podcasting as well, I always feel worried that, you know, if I say something that they might think, not that I ever have, I'm just kidding, for legal reasons, the Red Panda lawyer in the corner is just like, no, stop. You do feel quite self-conscious, don't you, when you're trying to create this kind of community, and you do think, oh, should I do this, should I do that and everything, but do you feel as if it's quite hard to foster, because obviously I have seen your community and your community is filled with a lot of really lovely people, and I know there's a couple of creators that there's like an overlap between us where we all get together, we have like a book club, you know. Oh, it's great. But do you feel as if it can be quite difficult to foster a community like that when there are so many other, maybe higher profile communities that spread a lot of negativity?
No, I haven't really had any difficulties at all. I haven't. One time that I have felt like I felt like, oh, maybe I'm going a bit too fast or something, was there was this content creator that they had a really nice community. They were really friendly, really approachable. And I was messaging them being like, I really love your content, by the way. I know you like these sorts of games. Yeah, this might be a good game to play. I want to try and like form closer ties and, chat with you, catch up, make sure you're doing okay, because they had a couple of bad sessions. And, when you can hear in someone's voice, they're trying to keep their energy going and it's struggling a little bit. And so I asked first to make sure that, are your DMs open and everything, started chatting with them, made sure they were okay. And then it went quiet. And I was like, oh no, because the last thing I want is I don't want people to think that I'm trying to form like a parasocial relationship, because I've read through so many comments on Twitter of people that for some reason will fake friendships or just use and abuse content creators that are larger just to try and boost themselves. I couldn't even dream of doing that. Every content creator that I have made friends with, Super Shadow, Stubbs, Tacken, Neon Guts, Goldie, yourself, of course, I make a point of catching up with them, making sure they're okay, trying to organize gaming sessions, and I want to be friends with these people first and foremost. That is my main goal, because you don't know what kind of day someone has had, and having a nice, friendly word with someone someone a sit down and just like a mindless gaming session and chill, you have no idea what benefits that could do to someone. That's what I try and foster in my community. I've done it multiple times before where someone's had a bad day and I will happily game until like midnight with them just so they're not alone and so they can just vent and chat. And I have absolutely no regrets. Just means I have more coffee the next day. But oh no.
So what you're saying is you would like a sponsorship deal with the coffee company?
Probably not a coffee company because that would get very dangerous when I end up having like a percolator and a cafetiere in the background. Toaster, why are you twitching? I'm on my 18th cup of the day. I can see sounds. Yeah, funny enough, I've actually got multiple sponsorship requests already from Streamlabs for like, I think it was like Star Trek Fleet Command and Raid Shadow Legends. But of course, I haven't got any of my tax situation sorted out yet, so...
It's always fun when you go to sign up to these things and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, that one thing, tax. That one thing you need to make sure is ironed out, straightened out and everything. And always lovely to deal with, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. I'm going to get in touch with Citizens Advice, see what information I can get, see what I need to progress, open up a second bank account so that way I can keep things separate, get a notebook, and so I can write things down in physical form. So if anything happens and my computer decides to self-destruct because I rolled a nat 1 that day, then I've still got all my records on paper.
Yeah, the percolator wasn't working that day.
Yeah, press go on the percolator and the computer just went boom.
But no, going back to what you were saying though, that is a lovely thing to do, to be fair. I've got another question for you. And I know, surprise, surprise. Questions on an interview. Who's ever heard of such a thing?
The nerve!
Exactly. When you got into streaming, first of all, did you feel as if there was going to be quite an emotional side to it all? Because as you said, you put it lovely that you've tried to, and may I add, you've done it successfully, but you've created this community that it's got its safe area on the internet. They can get together, they can game, they can talk and everything, and it's amazing to see and flourish. But I remember when I got into streaming and I used to look up things about what people were saying about Twitch, and there was a lot of misconceptions that people were saying, oh, it's just you flick on your camera, you play a game, and it felt very objective and cold. Did you kind of expect that emotional side to it?
I did. I completely did, because at the end of the day, the audience that are watching, they're not automatons. They're not artificial intelligence units. They're people. They're people that have gone through their own walks of life, their own good periods, their own bad periods, their own highs and lows. So yeah, I completely expected to have an emotional investment for it, because when you're watching your favorite show on television, it will perk you up from a bad mood if it hits you in the right way, but it can't interact with you. The one thing that I like about being able to interact with my chat is the fact that if they're having a bad day, I can help them. I will talk to them and say, if you need me, you know how to get in touch with me, either on stream, after stream, send me messages, I'll respond when I can. Until then, let me try and make the next 3 hours of your life a little bit more enjoyable, or just take your mind off things. One of my return viewers has said that they've been having bad days, but seeing my icon pop up saying that I've gone live, it helps, and it really helps. And I choked up a bit when they told me that, because it's a wonderful thing to feel.
Oh no, absolutely. It's definitely a great feeling when people not only compliment what you do, but then there is again that emotional side of it where they say, oh, it's really getting me through this particular period in my life. I have to admit, Twitch has become a somewhat hub for that. Would you agree that they want to leave behind their troubles and just maybe confide is the wrong word, because there's a whole grey area of people oversharing, because I have seen that in a couple of streams, and I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but it's like where people go into streams and they say, oh, I've had a terrible day because, and then they'll get into very serious and personal issues. And don't get me wrong, I feel as if it's somebody someone from your community, maybe it's a bit much, but at least you know that you're trying to help them and everything, and as long as they're comfortable with sharing, that's fine. But what is your opinion on that line between being there for people and people who overshare For example, if it's just a stranger coming into your stream or people who feel the need to kind of confide in you in a public area.
The way I look at it is, of course, there are going to be limits for oversharing because at the end of the day, I am one person. I have gone through my own walks of life. I have my own PTSDs and my own traumas to deal with. But it's like whenever I'm buying something from a shop or getting on a bus or a train or anything, I will always talk to the person who's selling me a product or anything. I'll ask how their day is going and everything because I have no idea how that day is for that individual. They could have had a really, really terrible day, and just the act of being able to express themselves, talk about themselves, or even being asked if they're okay could have such a knock-on effect for the rest of their day. Sorry, there's going to be another example here. I do apologize. But when we had issues with our internet and we were getting 2 megabyte upload, I think it was like 10 download. It was terrible. But got in touch with the provider and spoke to this wonderful assistant. And yeah, we just built up a rapport because we were both children from the 90s. And so when we finished and we got like the plans all sorted out and how we were going to go forward, we were on the phone for like quarter of an hour afterwards, just talking about technology and experience that we had from the 90s, like VHS tapes, flip phones, floppy disks, and it was just fantastic. And then during the case, or my query being handled, she got promoted up, and this new guy came in. She told this guy, "Oh yeah, this customer, he's really nice, really easy to get on with, really easy to talk to. You're going to have a very easy job." And he didn't believe it until his first phone call with me, and he would then, from that point onwards, always save checkup calls until like near the end of the day because he knew that he'd be able to leave his workday on a high. It was fantastic. I had some really nice chats with them. So oversharing, there will be limits, but if it gets to a point where they're sharing too much or I feel like I can't give them the attention they need or they warrant, then they can DM me in Discord and then we can take it off the air after stream and make sure they're okay and see what I can do to help.
The other thing as well is you don't want to burn yourself out. On the surface level, it might sound a bit selfish to be like, oh, you don't want to extend yourself too much or you don't want to do this or that, but you're completely right. At the end of the day, streamers, content creators, who's ever creating something or talking to someone, we are limited to ourselves, our own experiences, our own emotions and things, and it's all fair and good for those people who are either in distress or they're not coping as well to seek out other people to say, well, what are your thoughts about this and that? But it is quite an emotional thing. I do totally agree with you. It is. Can I just say, by the way, I think that is awesome that your internet provider has like a good rapport with you, because that is a complete opposite of mine right now. But that's a story for another day. Going back to yourself as a creator, I think I asked you this earlier, so apologies if you answered it, but you of course go by the name RoboticBattleToaster, which is first of all a fantastic name, and it's a name that I have to admit elicits a raised eyebrow with people whenever I talk about you. Whenever I say, oh, I've been talking about this fantastic streamer or content creator, or even when I'm talking about Patreon, of course, I'll say, thank you to RoboticBattleToaster yourself, of course, and they'll go, wait, robotic who? What? So yeah, what was the inspiration behind the name?
The inspiration was my first ever campaign playthrough of Dark Heresy, which is effectively D&D in the Warhammer 40k universe. I made a tech priest character whose name was Lazarus Verne, and we came up with a really good backstory for him because our housemate is a really, really good GM, and we managed to go through a really rich development. At the start of the campaign, I guess it were, my character's flaw was the fact that he had a sense of humor. It wasn't a fantastic sense of humor. It was effectively, imagine a little bit better than Data from Star Trek trying to make jokes. That was like his level of sense of humor. But at some point later on in the session, really later on, firstly, he got wounded and one of the party members apparently had became friends with him because I guess it's because he saved this character's life a few times. And yeah, just instead of like calling out Lazarus and everything, apparently when he was referring to my character, he was calling him Toaster. And so my character gets gunned down by heavy machine guns and just drops to the ground. And this character just yells out, "Toaster!" And I was like, "Toaster? Who the hell's Toaster? Wait a minute, I'm Toaster. I have a nickname." It sort of stuck. And for the rest of the campaign, even though at one point my character, the quirk that my character, or the perk that my character has is unlike other tech priests in the 40k universe, they can't communicate with the machine spirits. They just do their rites and their maintenance and everything, but nothing happens. My character can actually touch the machine and talk to them. So learn what's going on, what to be fixed, what needs fixing and everything else. This Inquisitor wanted to find out how he was able to do it, and so handed him over to, I guess it's like a sub-branch of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and basically he was taken apart to be studied. And they went on a rescue mission and everything and got him out, and by that point he was more artificial robotic components than human. I think the only organic part that's left of him is his brain. Everything else is artificial. And so then at that point, he became a battle toaster. Hence the name Robotic Battle Toaster. And yeah, things just stuck. And it's like, yeah, you know what? I'll try Toaster. Toaster was taken on Twitch. Okay, I'll try Battle Toaster. Also taken. Well, you know what? I don't think a three-pronged name would be taken. So let's try Robotic Battle Toaster. Yeah, it's fine. Excellent.
Well, to be fair, it is a very iconic name. It's not a name that you're going to forget in a hurry. When somebody says, "Oh, who's this?" "Oh, it's my friend Robotic BattleToaster," and they go, "I'm sorry, what?"
Yeah, I'm sorry, who, the what, the where? Why is the kitchening appliance on the warpath? I fight for Silicon Heaven, for Crichton.
And actually, speaking of crusading and all that for the greater good, actually a funny story, I have to confess, and I can't remember if I have told you this or not, but I remember the first time you and I started talking with one another, and, you know, I was talking to you, I was talking to Moth and everything, and I remember you joined my Discord server, and you said, "Oh, I've been working on," because you've got like a extensive lot of hobbies. It's safe to say, you know, you're into Warhammer like me, you're into, well, this next story is going to relate to this. You turned around and said, "Oh, I've got a couple of pieces of armour that I'm working on." And I'm not going to lie, the first time I heard that, I thought, right, okay, is it going to be like the full cosplay, or is it going to be, you know, maybe a helmet or two? Cue like a couple of minutes later, where Toaster just posts this picture of himself in full metal plate armour. And I'm sitting there going, "Oh my god, it's actually armour." I was like, "Is it cosplay?" And then I'm looking at the photos, I'm like, "Holy shit, that's real armour. Well done." Yeah, I have to admit, that took me off guard that day, in the best way possible, because it is pretty damn awesome.
It's fun doing anything in. I think I took it out for Halloween last year because there was a fancy dress costume, and I was like, ooh, you know what? I'm going to be incredibly lazy in terms of imagination. I'm just going to bring my plate mail. I've got a foam pole axe that I use if I want to like take it on show and not have to worry about having my sword's piece secured or anything else like that. And so, yeah, got up in my full plate, had a cape on it, and yeah, it was brilliant. I came second place for minimal effort. The only reason why I came second place is because the person who won first had a customized Fallout Wasteland Raider outfit that they'd made, and it looked amazing. They definitely deserved to win first place. But yeah, I got a bottle of spirit out of it, so yeah, couldn't complain too much.
I've got to ask, because we did go extensively in depth there about your journey through content creation and becoming the awesome creator that you are today, but how in the heck did you get into that hobby?
So I used to do English Civil War reenactment for the Sealed Knot. I started off as a pikeman, then became a musketeer just to see what that was like. Well, firstly, I always kept being unlucky whenever we were in formation because I would always be front rank, so I'd have to kneel down in the mud and whatever else was there, which is okay if you don't really, it's like, I've got drinks at the tent, it doesn't bother me. But then we would always be paired up with this other regiment. I think it was like the Yorkshire or Gloucester regiment, and this one person in particular would do a thing where it's called triple charging your musket and double charging your pan, which is basically, instead of putting like 1 wad of powder down, he'd put 3 to make a bigger bang. Problem is of course you get a lot of smouldering powder coming out the other end. So on several occasions where I nearly got powder burns on my neck, it was like, I might change to do something different. And then we went to this training session and we got to do sword fighting. It was like an officers and musketeers practice, because basically if I achieved a certain rank as a musketeer, I could get a sword, basically like a saber, to complement my musket, because otherwise you have to use your musket like a club. And it's like, oh, this is actually really fun. I'm actually really enjoying this. Yeah, let's see what we go with this. So stopped being a Civil War reenactor and started looking at full contact sword fighting. I found these books about a Latin style of sword fighting, Fjord's style, which is a type of longsword fighting. Started reading up on that, started training with this, I bought some plastic training blades, which basically They're the density of wood, but yeah, you can smack them around and you're not going to cut anyone or anything. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is good. Oh, yeah, I'm liking this. So then I bought myself a longsword and started training with that.
As you do.
Yeah. As you do. Yeah, shiny metal thing. Ooh, me like the thingy. And then, yeah, thought, okay, I wonder if I can apply this to short swords. So I bought myself a short sword and started doing that. And then I bought myself pieces of armor until I had a full set. And then, yeah, started fighting. And it's been a while since I've done a big arena fight because this was all before the lockdowns and things take a little time to get back together and life has been hectic. But I still get out in the garden and I still fight every now and again with either one or t'other friend comes around and has a little bit of a duel. Because, yeah, over lockdown, I converted a section of my garden into an arena so I could just keep practicing. So the third blade that I got was a claymore, which is 1.4 meters in length, and it's a beautifully balanced weapon. And yeah, it's a really good hobby. Risky, of course. All the weapons are blunt, but at the end of the day, you're wearing your gambeson, your chainmail, and your plate, and someone is swinging a weapon at you, and you're swinging it at them. But yeah, it's good. Good fun.
Fun for all the family, you could say. For legal reasons, that's a joke. Sorry. Just do not take your kids out into a field of knights. That's how wars start.
Oh, the Red Panda lawyer's just scuttled out the room, so I think he's coming back your way, Satsu.
That is awesome, though, because it's definitely one of the more unique hobbies that I've heard of after that. And what impressed me even more was, I remember I was on it was kind of like a work trip thing. And long story short, mistakes were made, and I ended up having to wear a helmet, like a knight's helmet.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of these big warehouses in, I want to say somewhere in Glasgow, and they hold all of these artifacts for museums. Long story short, I got volunteered to get the helmet put in my head, and oh my god, that is heavy. That is some heavy stuff. I wasn't expecting it to be overly light or anything, but oh Jesus, I was like, oh my god. I mean, the heaviest helmet I've had on is probably like a bike helmet. It's a whole other ballgame, so props to you for doing that.
It's a definite workout. I mean, I made my own chainmail over lockdown. Yeah, the chainmail jacket alone weighs 20 kilos. I did a 5K park run in that.
So when's the next one?
Yes. Well, I do actually want to do it again, but at the moment, it's a case of full-time job and Twitch broadcasting, so I don't really have the time to train for it. If I can get Twitch to the point where it can support me and support Moth, then I can actually start doing some more training, because I had the jacket that weighed 20 kilos on, I had a Nordic helmet, which was probably about another kilo and a half, then I had my forearm armor, which then went up into my upper arm armor. It was a thing, and I still managed to sprint across the finish line.
Funny enough, there's a seaside town in Scotland called Largs. Have you ever been there?
I haven't, I'm afraid.
Just when you said about a Nordic helmet, because historically, you're slipping a wee bit of history into the chat, that was a place that was, I think it was like the final place that they tried to invade, at least Scotland. I don't know if it was the whole of the UK, but there was a decisive battle fought there with the Vikings, and it's a lovely seaside town. You can get your fish and chips, you can punch a seagull for free, you can get your ice cream. They're not as bad as the ones down in Brighton, I'll give it that, but that's another story again.
For legal reasons, this is a joke.
For half legal reasons, it's a joke. I wouldn't encourage going out your way, but if they're stealing your chips, come on, that's self-defence in a court of law. I looked it up. But yeah, there's like a big Viking museum. It's just when you said you had a Nordic helmet, I was just laughing, thinking, imagine you rocked up in your chainmail with your Nordic helmet, and they're just like, oh my god, the Vikings are back again.
So, step 1, I need to get a longboat. Step 2, I need to wait for a really foggy day so I can sail it towards the coast. And step 3, I need to learn how to blow my Viking war horn. And then, yes, we can just rock up and then go to a fish and chip shop.
Pretty much, yeah.
And scare the daylights out of the locals.
Just don't crash into the ferry that's going to the island across and you'll be fine.
But plunder?
Well, they're going to Millport. It's this island that's famous for, you go over, you hire a bike, you ride round it, and then you come back home.
Okay, all right, that doesn't sound like very impressive plunder to you, but having an outboard motor on a Viking longboat... That's an upgrade for me.
Oh my god, that is like the James Bond of Viking boats. It's like, do you know what it reminds me of? Have you seen Moonraker?
Oh, God, yes.
You know the scene when he's in
Uh-huh.
the gondola? Yeah, and it
Yeah.
transforms into a hovercraft. Yeah, that's what I'm imagining. You just come on and you're just nodding, going, hello, yep, excuse me, going to get my fish and chips. Although, funny enough, there is a fish and chip place called the Viking. I don't know if it's still there. I'm assuming it is.
I wondered where you were going to go with that when you said, oh, yeah, actually, I was going to say, you've known of a Viking longboat with an outboard motor?
Well, the wreckers were lost, much like with pretty much all of the plunder that they got. So, you know what? There could have been. Or maybe it's just, a couple of monks paddling their arms really fast in the water. Modern solutions and all that. But my fan fiction aside.
Welcome to Canvas.
Oh, yeah. Canvas 2, now with 90% more Vikings. It's been 8 to 10 years. Come on now. Come on now.
My Viking longboat has a deck-mounted 50mm autocannon and Sea-Whiz anti-missile defense system. What does your longboat have?
Mine has an oar. That's it. It reminds me of when, I don't know if you've played this game, but there was a game that I used to play religiously when I was younger. It was the Pirates of the Caribbean game, the Bethesda RPG.
They made a Pirates of the Caribbean game?
Oh, they did. It's a bit janky going back to it, but it was a lot of fun. And you started out with this schooner boat, I think, and you had very bare basic weapons. You had your cannons, your grape shots, that kind of thing. And then you upgraded. You could actually steal ships, but the best ship that you could get was like kind of British naval vessel, 3 rows of cannons, and yeah, if you got on the wrong side of it, literally it would just body you. Your ship would be at the bottom of the ocean, so then you would have just like this one dinghy floating away. You'd be like, oh my god.
That sounds like me in Black Flag.
That's another game I need to play, actually. I am a bad pirate / Viking, I'm sorry.
You know what we need to do then? We need to feed you to Sea of Thieves.
That's true. I've only played it once on stream, would you believe? It didn't go well. It definitely didn't. Well, no, it went well. It was a fun stream, but I may or may not have fallen off the boat while it was still in motion.
Oh, that's all right. That happened to me when I was playing with Stubbs. We were getting attacked by, I think we were attacking a fortress, and I just happened to be standing near the back of the boat where a cannon shot landed. Next thing I know, I'm not on the boat anymore, and the boat's just disappearing into the horizon. It's like, mermaid, where's the mermaid?
I'm pretty sure there's a clip of me as well, just being like, oh, look, that's awesome. just floating away. This poor red panda in the middle of the sea going, help, whoa, I'm drowning. It's like, you're beside a beach. It's like, I don't care, bring me back.
No, I'm not swimming to that beach. You're sailing the boat here to pick me up.
Do you know who I am?
I am the red panda lawyer.
Oh, God, yeah. I'll add that to the list of contingency plans. If things go wrong and I need to get rid of the red panda lawyer, it's like, yeah, let's go on a cruise. What could go wrong?
Now, Satsu, I'm afraid the red panda lawyer is like that whole thing where somewhere in the universe there is a slug that is unkillable and it's slowly making its way towards you. You can't get rid of the red panda lawyer.
No, he gets rid of me.
Yeah. Wait, what? Gets rid of you? What version of Satsu are we on right now?
42.
Ah, the meaning of Chatsu, the life, and the Nami.
Have you not seen my username on Twitch? Satsunami 42. Exactly. Yeah, that's what it means.
What was that movie, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, where they were making clones of people?
Total Recall?
No, not Total Recall. It was the one where he was a helicopter pilot, and they took a retinal scan of him and a DNA scan, and then for the rest of the movie, we thought we were following the original, but we were following the duplicate. I can't remember what that movie was called. It was a good movie, and basically the two Arnold Schwarzeneggers ended up teaming up together.
Oh, I know what it was. It was twins.
Twins? What?
I mean, there was 2 Arnold Schwarzeneggers, together, yeah. One was kind of shorter than the other, but no, they were both exactly the same. Well, there's Twins and Junior, which I can't believe there's 2 films with him and Danny DeVito.
The Sixth Day, that was it. But yeah, I still remember the Danny DeVito one where, what an unlikely pairing.
Yeah, it seems like quite a weird journey, I want to say it, and that is the nicest way I can put it. What a weird journey that they took us on.
It's a very, very weird journey. It's not quite up weird in terms of Conan, but it's getting there.
I mean, Conan at least is bad in a, endearing way, whereas Junior and Twins is just baffling. Someone had to get paid to write that script.
Didn't they put his face on a child and make him say, Mommy?
Yep.
Yeah, that thing exists. Nothing's on the internet.
See, I mean, people give a lot of crap towards the baby from Twilight. That's apparently, I've never seen Twilight, but there's like apparently an infamous scene where they have a baby and they give it a CGI face for whatever reason. And everybody, whenever they think of like CGI babies, they always go for that. They never go to the hellscape that is Junior to have Arnie just on a baby going, wah, wah, and you're like, oh my god.
Probably for the best, otherwise, yeah, Schwarzenegger trauma.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Hasta la vista, baby. The link has been made.
Damn it, you should have been in PR. What are you doing on Twitch? Get into the PR department. Yeah, before we wrap up. Yeah, so I've got to ask, because as of this episode, you know, you are on the 5-month mark, you're going into the 6th month.
Mm-hmm.
What is the future of your channel looking like? And I know, obviously, I'm not asking you to get your crystal toaster ball out and be like, I'm going to make millions, but what are your plans for the future for your channel and your content as a whole?
So my plans going forward are I'm going to focus on stable growth. So I want to keep making content that people enjoy. And I know that it's going to be slower going than if I just stick to 2 games and just play only those 2 games. You know, the reason why I want to stay as a variety channel is it means that I won't get burnt out. And if one game starts becoming too toxic, then I can just separate myself from that and go to another game. So I'm going to keep sticking as a variety game channel. I want to keep growing. So eventually I can start doing more bits and pieces and incorporating more stuff in. Long-term goals are at some point in the future, quite far down the line, I want to get a haptic feedback suit, an omnidirectional treadmill, and these things called Manus VR gloves. I want to play VR shooter games and stream them on Twitch, do like VR Phasmophobia games, and just have like a room dedicated to like VR content for Twitch. So I can get poked and prodded with the haptic feedback suit while trying to do something else, like do a first-person shooter game whilst someone in the audience is just poking me in the back repeatedly, something like that. I want to branch off into doing board gaming stuff and D&D games as well. And at some point in the future, this is a when, not if, because the only variable that I'm allowing for is time. When, in the distant future, I get to like 40,000 followers, I'm going to have a Warhammer month. So Warhammer Fantasy, Warhammer 40k, I'm going to be wearing the sweatshirts that you can get that are Warhammer themed. I'm going to have the candles going that are from the different gods or planets of the lore. And just for shits and giggles, I might ask Henry Cavill if he wants to play some Warhammer or have an interview or something like that. Might as well. You don't know if you don't ask.
And I mean, I think he's the kind of person that would be down regardless. He's just like, yeah, sure. Let me get my custodies. Yeah, no problem. It's like,
yeah. Okay. All right.
Oh, no.
No, Mr. Cavill, go easy on me, please.
Yeah, just as I hide my guardsman, I'm like, please.
But yeah, I've also got plans at some point in the future, depending on what the Twitch terms of service are, setting up a camera in my arena and recording my sword fighting or broadcasting it so people can watch training fights and everything else, both in armor and out of armor. And yeah, do some like painting videos as well, because I've got a whole mountain of grey plastic shame downstairs. That'll keep me going for a while.
Well, that's just the ethos of any 40k player, to be honest.
And of course, the main thing that I'm going to stick at throughout the entire time is making sure that I am there for people, other content creators, you know, the wonderful people in the audience, people that I do interviews with. I just want to make sure that I do my best to be what people need when they need me.
Honestly, I feel as if that's like the perfect note to end on, because I honestly think, and this isn't me speaking to you as a friend, because, you know, for disclosure reasons, Toaster and I have, of course, you know, we've gamed together on and off stream, we've talked together. He is like a fantastic streamer. I'm just saying that like outright now, because usually when I say this, to be like, oh, they're a fantastic person and everything, which usually, you know, it is true, but I don't want to be just saying, oh, what you're doing is fantastic and everything, but I genuinely do believe what you're doing with your community, with your content creation and everything. Personally, and this might get sappy, so apologies, but I do feel as if you are something that the Twitch sphere does need, that injection of positivity within it, with other content creators you're collaborating with your community as a whole. Too long didn't listen. You're doing a great job. Yeah.
Well, Thank you very much. But now it's my turn because you are a fantastic podcaster, a wonderful individual. And when is Birdemic 3? ?
First of all, well, if you'll excuse me for 1 minute, I'm going to just quickly Google how to refund PayPal payments, because I was about to pay you there for your kind words there up until the Birdemic 3 comment, and now
I'll suffer it with you.
you know, it's not a bad idea. It would be a fun film to watch and review.
Have you watched the trailer?
I've seen Birdemic 2. I feel as if I've suffered enough. I don't feel as if it can be any worse, surely.
Oh, good sir.
Please tell me it can't be any worse. It can't be any worse than
Let me just give you the title. Birdemic 3, Sea Eagle.
They couldn't have just combined that and called it Seagull.
Yeah, basically, a coastal city is attacked by killer seagulls.
I'm just going to join you there. There's nothing I can say to that. Toaster, thank you so much for coming on this episode and talking all things Twitch and what you've been up to.
Anytime, good sir, anytime. Thank you very much for having me on here, and we'll definitely have to do some more episodes in the future because, I mean, there's more in the 40k universe we should cover if that's what you want to do, or, as you talked about another time, we've got Star Trek to go through.
Oh, God, we have so many topics. Like, this isn't going to be one of those interviews where it's like, that was a great interview and we go our separate ways. Oh, no. You'll get used to listening to Toaster's voice on this podcast, whether it's for 40k, whether it's for, as you said, Star Trek. There's a lot of episodes in the pipeline that we have been talking about for a good while, so definitely have a listen out for those coming in the future. But just as a wrapping up point, where can these lovely listeners at home find your content?
So, at the moment, you can find me on Twitch at RoboticBattleToaster. You can find me on Twitter, fun enough, the same name, RoboticBattleToaster, and on the Twitch page, you'll find a link to my Discord. At some point in the future, once I've taught myself how to edit videos, you'll also be able to find me on YouTube, hopefully under the same handle. We'll watch this space.
And honestly, I can't wait for that. It's going to be awesome. It really is going to be awesome to see what you do next. So everybody listening, please go check out Toaster and all of his content. It is absolutely fantastic. But if you're actually quite interested to hear what Toaster and I have to say about the 40k universe, or really any past episodes of Satsunami, then you can listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, and all good podcast apps. You can also check us out on podpage.com/Chatsunami, where you can find all of our content. I also want to give a huge shout out to our Pandalorian patrons, and this time I have one of them here, RoboticBattleToaster. I'm shouting you out. And of course, Sonia, both of you, thank you so much for supporting the channel. It is honestly much appreciated. And if you want to get access to early episodes or exclusive episodes, then please feel free to check it out at patreon.com/Chatsunami. But until then, stay safe, stay awesome, and most importantly, do you want to finish it off, Toaster?
Stay hydrated. Ta-ta!
Welcome to Satsunami, a variety podcast that discusses topics from gaming and films to anime and general interests.
Previously on Satsunami, we've analysed what makes a good horror game, conducted a retrospective on Pierce Brosnan's run as James Bond, and listened to us take deep dives into both the Sonic and Halo franchises.
Also, if you're an anime fan, then don't forget to check us out on our sub-series, Chatsunani, where we dive into the world of anime. So far, we've reviewed things like Death Note, Princess Mononoke, and the hit Beyblade series.
If that sounds like your cup of tea, then you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and all good podcast apps.
As always, stay safe,
Stay awesome, and most importantly,
stay hydrated.
Greetings! My name is RoboticBattleToaster. I'm a variety game streamer on Twitch. There, I play a range of both multiplayer and single-player games. You can also find me on Twitter and in my Discord server, where you can vote what games I play, and, of course, join in on the fun and back-and-forth banter in a relaxed and safe environment. I hope to see you there. Ta-ta!
This episode is sponsored by Zencastr. If you're a podcaster that records remotely like me, then you'll know how challenging it can be to create the podcast you've always wanted. That's where Zencastr comes in. Before I met Zencastr, I was but a naive podcaster, recording on low-quality, one-track audio waves. But with Zencastr, you can kiss those fears goodbye as they provide crystal clear audio and HD video. Plus, with our all-in-one podcasting suite, recording with guests is extremely simple. From local recordings to post-production, Zencastr has it all. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code Satsunami. You'll get 30% off your first 3 months of Zencastr Professional. I want you to have the same easy experience I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story.